The story begins with a scripture: faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. A narrator wonders what draws people to a place. He considers the city, home to 10 million people. 10 million souls, each on a personal quest. They are all searching for meaning in their lives. But he questions how many of them ever truly find it. He points out a cross, a symbol many people pass by daily. He wonders how many even notice it is there. And for those who do, what does it truly mean to them? To him, it's supposed to mean forgiveness and redemption. But he questions its deeper, personal significance. This is the story of 12 souls who are about to find out. 12 lives destined to intersect at the cross. There, they will all face the same question. Do you believe? In an emergency room, paramedics work to save a young woman. A cynical doctor, Alex, notes the high dose of adrenaline given. He callously assumes she didn't care if she was saved, pointing to lacerations on her wrist. A paramedic, Bob, checks on the patient with his wife, Elena, a nurse. Elena learns Bob is working another double shift, a point of financial tension between them. A desperate mother pleads for her sick daughter to be seen by a doctor. An elderly man, JD, is discharged after a false alarm with his pacemaker. He tells his wife, Terry, not to worry, as nothing will happen until it's his time. The sick child, Lily, shows her butterfly tattoo to a kind stranger. The man introduces himself as Joe. Lily's mother, Samantha, is frustrated by the long wait for a doctor. Pastor Matthew arrives to check on JD and Terry. Terry expresses her fear of losing JD, having already suffered enough loss. Joe sees Samantha's struggle and approaches the front desk. He selflessly gives his appointment slot to the little girl, Lily. Samantha is overwhelmed with gratitude for his kindness. Outside, a street preacher named Malachi carries a large wooden cross. He warns passers-by of destruction and urges them to carry their own cross. He confronts Pastor Matthew, asking a direct question. Do you believe in the cross? He challenges the pastor, asking what he will do about his belief. Malachi then stands in the way of a car full of gang members. The gang leader, Criminal, threatens him, but Malachi is unafraid. He declares he is ready to meet God. Instead of fighting, he says he will pray for them. Nearby, Pastor Matthew sees a pregnant teenager, Lacey, alone and crying. He offers her help, but she is defensive and suspicious. In the gang's car, a member named Percy is shaken by the preacher's conviction. He wonders if the old man was right about God's law. Pastor Matthew brings Lacey home, to the dismay of his wife, Grace. Grace tells him she can't let Lacey stay with them. So, Matthew pays for a motel room for the young girl. Back at the hospital, Samantha thanks Joe for his help. She reveals they are homeless and will have to sleep in their car. Joe offers them his apartment, just a few blocks away. A soldier, Carlos, returns home from war. He is greeted by his sister, Elena, the nurse. Joe shows Samantha and Lily around his small apartment. He tells them he will stay with a friend for the night. But after leaving them safe, Joe prepares to sleep in his own car. The next day, Dr. Alex questions the young woman from the ER. She lies, claiming her allergic reaction was an accident, and is discharged. The narrator returns, explaining these were the dozen souls. All moving in different directions, all searching. This was just days before the cross would make its presence felt. In each and every one of their lives. Criminal prepares his younger brother, Percy, for a dangerous job. He tells him this is their chance for a new life. They swear an oath, live together, die together. In his church, Pastor Matthew poses the same question Malachi asked him. Do you believe in the cross of Christ? He preaches that true belief requires action. As he speaks, Criminal's gang executes their robbery. The pastor explains that believers are given power over temptation. But the robbery goes wrong, and the police arrive. In the chaos, Percy manages to escape with the money. After the sermon, Joe finds Percy hiding in the church. Joe tells him the only way out is through the cross. He encourages the young man to take the first step. The pastor calls to anyone who feels lost and desperate. Percy, listening from the shadows, prays for salvation. Elsewhere, Bob responds to a horrific construction accident. A man named Ron is trapped and dying, terrified. Bob gives the man his personal cross to hold. He tells Ron that God loves him and died for his forgiveness. Ron's wife arrives at the scene, held back by police. In his final moments, Ron prays for forgiveness. The next day, Joe brings food for Samantha and Lily. Lily discovers a jar full of cash Joe has been saving. Lily finds a small wooden angel Joe carved. He tells her it's a reminder that angels are always watching over us, and gives it to her. JD begins clearing out his deceased daughter Kathleen's room. Terry is distraught, telling him the room is all she has left of her. He tells her it's time for them to act on their faith and start living again. Samantha tells Joe her story, but says their situation is not over yet. She questions why God would take her husband and leave them struggling. Despite Joe's kindness, Samantha decides they must leave. Lacey calls her father, hoping for reconciliation. But he is cold, influenced by her stepmother. The call ends abruptly, leaving her heartbroken. At dinner, Dr. Alex complains about public displays of faith. He arrogantly states that he does God's work and should get the credit. Carlos suffers from a severe PTSD nightmare, terrifying his nephew. Feeling he is a danger to the family, he decides to leave. The widow of the man Bob helped is filing a lawsuit against the department. Bob is told to write an apology, admitting he made a mistake. He refuses, saying he doesn't feel sorry for what he did. Elena begs him to just apologize, but he cannot. She accuses him of being willing to risk everything to prove a point. She gives him an ultimatum: apologize, or face the consequences. Criminal calls Percy, demanding the stolen money. On a bridge, Lacey prepares to end her life. She finds she is not alone. Carlos is there for the same reason. They find an unlikely connection in their shared despair. Carlos feels the cross his sister gave him, which kept him from jumping. They talk about what they would change if they were God. Carlos wishes for no more war, no more killing. Pastor Matthew's wife, Grace, finds Lacey and apologizes for turning her away. Percy tells Criminal he can't give him the money, because what they did was wrong. At a soup kitchen, JD and Terry volunteer, trying to find new purpose. There, they meet Lily and Samantha again. That night, as it rains, JD finds Samantha and Lily sleeping in their car. He offers them a place to stay, out of the rain. He and Terry give them their daughter's old room. They invite the mother and daughter to stay with them permanently. Percy returns to the church to give the stolen money to Pastor Matthew. He explains that the money is no longer his, and he wants it to do good. Criminal learns that Percy gave the money to the church. He believes the pastor now has his money and sets out to get it back. At a clinic, Lacey sees her unborn baby girl for the first time. Bob prepares to face a hearing that could end his career. Elena accuses him of making selfish choices. He tells her he is thinking of his sons, and the example he must set for them. Carlos tells Lacey about a friend he lost in the war, a man he was too afraid to save. But Lacey tells him that he saved her life on the bridge. Joe collapses and is rushed back to the hospital. Dr. Alex is shocked that Joe spent the night on the street, knowing he was terminally ill. Joe simply says that it was worth it. A taxi driver delivers a letter and the jar of money from Joe to Samantha. The driver reveals that Joe is dying in the hospital. Criminal confronts Pastor Matthew, demanding his money. He holds the pastor at gunpoint, asking if he believes he will see Jesus. The pastor calmly replies that he believes they all will, sooner or later. Outside the hearing, Bob is confronted by Andrea, the widow's lawyer. He tells her he would be proud to be found guilty of sharing his faith. She warns him, "This cross is going to bury you." Samantha arrives at the hospital to be with Joe. Joe reveals he once had a daughter, the same age as Lily. He went to prison, and by the time he got out, she had grown up without him. His dying wish is to see Lily one last time. Carlos tries to push Lacey away, believing he is broken and will only hurt her. Percy returns to the gang hideout to confront his brother. He tries to share his newfound faith, telling Criminal he sees things differently now. Percy tells his brother he has already been forgiven. Suddenly, another gang member attacks Percy. As he dies in Criminal's arms, Percy's last word is "believe." Lacey goes into labor, and Pastor Matthew and Grace rush her to the hospital. The lives of 12 people are about to collide. A truck driven by a haunted veteran, Carlos, loses control. JD and Terry's car is hit head-on. Amidst the chaos, Lacey's baby is being born. Strangers become saviors in the wreckage. Carlos, the driver who caused the crash, helps rescue Lily. Lacey gives birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. JD is trapped, and tells Terry to go on without him. Bob arrives on the scene and begins helping the injured. Andrea, the lawyer, is trapped and asks Bob if he believes this is just a lie. With all his heart, Bob promises her that Jesus will accept her. Bob pulls Andrea from her car just before it explodes. JD dies in the wreckage, having saved his wife. At the same moment, Joe passes away in the hospital. He thanks Samantha for believing in him. Bob saved the life of the woman who was trying to ruin his. Dr. Alex officially pronounces Joe dead. But moments later, Joe miraculously opens his eyes. The doctor is in disbelief, having just signed the death certificate. Joe tells him it was a miracle. Dr. Alex insists there is no such thing. Joe challenges him, "Do you have a better theory, doctor?" Carlos returns to Lacey's side at the hospital. He has found a reason to live again. Bob's wife Elena, having witnessed the crash and its aftermath, apologizes. She saw a true miracle and realizes how wrong she has been. She asks to give her life to Jesus, and they pray together. Lily is reunited with her mother, safe and sound. She then sees Joe, alive and well. Dr. Alex and Elena, now reconciled, leave the hospital together. Andrea tells her partner she was wrong about Bob. She admits that perhaps she is the one with the God complex. The narrator concludes that we often can't see the big picture. It's like looking at the messy back of a tapestry being woven. Joe, now healed, thanks Terry for taking in Samantha and Lily. Terry says it's a blessing to have them, forming a new family from tragedy. But one day, we will see the other side, the finished work. The genius of God's work will become clear. And at the center of it all, we will find the cross. If you want a recap of your favorite movies and shows, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. See you next time, everyone.